welcome. This is Michael Finch with the David Horowitz Freedom Center. We're here for round 2 of tonight's edition of the Glazov Gang. We're very honored to have Mark Vafiades, Karen Siegemund, and Orestes Matacena. So definitely don't have 3 Smiths. I'm sorry if I butchered the last names, but you'll correct me. In round 1, we talked about Duck Dynasty and some other things. I want to get into the highlights or lowlights of 2013, some predictions or kind of feelings about what we may see in 2014. But briefly, I want to get into the NSA scandal. We had the court case. Now this Obama's 5 liberal law professors have come down with some recommendations. This is a tough issue because you've got Rand Paul libertarians on our side who are saying that the NSA has gone, is way too far. That they're invading our privacy. This is a real concern. If we're a civil libertarian or conservative, we always worry about the government having too much power, so this is a concern. But then we also have people like Mike Rogers, the chair of the Intelligence Committee, saying the NSA is not abusing these powers, or we need to keep an eye on them, but the NSA needs to be able to do its job. We've pretty much been safe since 9/11. We've had a few small attacks, but we haven't had a major attack. The NSA should get some credit for that. So I think, is Obama's instincts now going to say this is a court issue, not a military issue, which could have huge problems? Orestes, I'm going to start with you. What's your feelings about the court case and what's going to happen with the NSA?
Well, when I say that, when you sacrifice freedom for security, you won't get either one. That's my point. And, America, everyone in the world loves to come to America. Why? Because we're supposed to be free. And unfortunately, I think that the NSA is doing the opposite of what America is all about. I am the first one that I think we should go after the terrorists, after whoever needs to be, gone after. But I think that it cannot be that my phone right now, your phone right now, if the government wants to listen to us right now, this phone is turned off, and all of ours, they can turn this thing on, they can listen to us.
Do you want to take the battery
insane.
out?
You know that the terrorists, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They take the battery. So I don't think that this is right. And a lot of people say that Snowden is, to me, in my opinion, has been an American hero, because thanks to him, we know and we're talking about this. And I hope that the government, or that someone stop the government of doing this. It's an American shame, in my opinion.
Mark, I'm going to go to you next, because that crystallizes the one view. Which I'm very sympathetic with, but then I hear Peter King or Mike Rogers give the other view. Where do you stand on
I'm
this?
sympathetic to that view too. And the Mike Rogers view and the Rand Paul view, that debate is going on in my head daily, because I'm a strong civil libertarian. I'm also strong in national defense. I think there's a lot we don't know, and the other question is, what are they doing with that information? The fact that it's being gathered is not so much the issue. I mean, it is an issue. I don't like the fact that they're gathering information on me, but what are they doing with it? That's the other question. We're in a new world, with the access we have to IT. It's just not the same world it was years ago. So we have to look at things differently. And I'm torn myself, but I do want to keep us safe. As long as they're not using that information to prosecute Americans, I'm not as troubled by it.
But I would like to make a point here, because this really gets me, okay? And you see, people say, well, I don't have anything to hide, I don't care, And I say, well, that's not the point. Because let's say right now, okay, that, that suddenly they say, the government suddenly, because if they're listening and they are, they know everything about us. And let's say now that they come to me and say, hey, Orestes, a CIA guy or, from a guy of the government says, listen, Orestes, we would like you to do such and such thing. Whatever this is. And I said, no, what are you talking about? This is crazy. He said, listen, everybody have a little skeleton in the closet, and you have like 7 or 8. So, you know, and we know them. So you're going to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be known to all the people that you love, all the people, whoever, you know. Yeah. And what are you going to? What am I going to do? I have to do it. Yeah. And that is the horrendous thing. It's not that there are going to be 300 million people doing it, right. You know, but it's like the government, and it can be. And to tell you the truth, this goes either way for the Republicans or the liberals, for any American.
Well, Karen, I won't ask you do you want to know what his 7 or 8 skeletons are? You know, you grew up in Cuba, right? Absolutely. Angela Merkel grew up in East Germany. Mm-hmm. And her comment to the United States, I don't know if it was Obama directly, was this is something the Stasi did, right? Yeah. Listening into the cell phone. I was reluctant, kind of a supporter of the Patriot Act because I thought we did need something after 9/11. But the fear is if there's good men in government, good women and men in government, we're okay. But there's not always, there's almost never good men in government. Right. You're going to get an Obama, you're going to get a Hillary, or who knows you're going to get, that are going to take and abuse that power. It's inevitable. So this is a tough one. I mean, and we're hearing that I have the debate in my head as well.
Right, exactly.
We are human beings, and unfortunately, when we are human, this is what's going to happen because power is.
But here's the problem, though. There's a major attack. We find out that the NSA gets neutered.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, then we're going to be okay. Well, at least nobody's listening to herself. I mean,
right.
Where this is the new technology? I mean, this is.
They use it. They use the technology, and at a certain point, one is foolish to ignore that. And as you had posted, freedom versus national security used a different word, but freedom versus national security is really what it is. You can be completely free and have no security, or you can have complete security and no freedom. And to me, it's not a matter of you can't give up one for the other. It's always a matter of striking a balance. And that's why I have the same argument in my head. And there's also the differentiation between them listening to us versus listening to Angela Merkel or spying on Israel, 2 entirely different things. I also think that what I get sort of lost in is there's the metadata and then there's the actual content. Metadata has always been available. Everyone's always been able to know who we call, how long we're on the phone, who we send letters to, right? We've been using the post office forever, well, since Ben Franklin or whatever. And now we have this new way of communicating. And so it's just a technological advance in communications. If they're only collecting metadata, personally, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of okay with that.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have the same argument in my head because it really is if they can be intelligent about what they do, I don't know. But the other point that keeps coming to mind is, where I see the biggest fussing about this is on Facebook, where all those skeletons usually are. Yeah. And Google knows more about me than anybody. And whenever you're online, the right ads pop up. They know, and that's not NSA. That's the internet. That's cookies. That's all kind of technology. So if we're going to be upset about invasions of privacy like that, I think we should recognize the scope of all the information that we provide every single day.
I think the only, retort to that is that Google can't audit your taxes and they can't put you in jail.
Correct.
We could be comforted that right now we have an administration that is not using government to harass us, right?
I know.
But of course we do. That's a huge
that's
the huge problem. But anyway, we need to move on. It's a fascinating discussion, and I think it's healthy on the conservative Republican side that we're having this conversation. Yes. And do you want to have something?
I just want to say one other thing. One of the things that troubles me the most about all this is the ease at which someone like an Edward Snowden passed the security check and was able to access and take away this information at at our expense, the American people. That's what really troubles me.
Same here.
So
But
where
you know,
else,
there is
who else
another-
has that
but-
information?
but-
Where else has it gone?
Yeah.
But
Right.
you can also see that the NSA, with all the technology and the whole thing, President Obama, which is our president, like it or not, he was talking at the Mandela's funeral, and the guy that was next to him was a murderer, and they didn't know.
Yeah.
So my point to you is that the NSA is not going to be looking. They're going to use that tool, the government, to intimidate people
absolutely.
and
Watch
to
the
do
Tea
the
Parties
things
and,
that have to be
rage
done.
against the media.
And that is what if the government there were the government was no person. There was like a machine that everything was like, there was no humans involved in the government, then I would say that's fine. But because there are humans involved in the government, because that's the way it is terrible.
Okay. Well, I'm going to mark
is.
them. And by the way, that phone's making me nervous. 2013, the year of the scandal. Mark, was there one scandal you could point to that could say, or maybe none, maybe Obama's the true Teflon president and nothing will stick. Is there one scandal or something in 2013 you say this could be the downfall of, not that Obama can run again, we hope not. Is this the downfall of this really progressive wave that has been hitting us? Is there something that you could say that turned the tide?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'd call it a scandal. It's what's in the news now, and that's Obamacare. I think not only has it shown that it's been a failure in its implementation and a failure in what it was promising and now what the reality is, but it's also something that has shown the average American that really wasn't that much involved what happens when government starts to control a huge portion of the economy. And I think people are starting to realize that and understand it, and now this may start to turn the tide away from a big government type of philosophy back towards a smaller government type of philosophy.
Well, that is fascism. The Nazis and Mussolini and the fascists, Mussolini and Hitler, they had free enterprise, heavily regulated by the government, and that is what, after the war, the Europeans said, you know what, we won the war, but now let's take fascism and Nazism, and we are going to do it. And since for 70 years, the Europeans, that's what they had in their fascists. Yeah. We, in a minor scale, we were doing it, but the last 5 years, we have become fascists.
Well, it's crony capitalism and the rest and the green.
Right.
Yeah. Karen, let me ask you a similar question, but also if you could think of one person, particularly on the freedom side, who stood out among all others and really, not just the finger in the dike, but someone that we're going to look back and say that person stood up for liberty and freedom and helped turn this tide, if there is someone.
Oh, what a great question. Oh my gosh. Well, first let me just respond to Mark while I process this about Obamacare, not respond. I'm hopeful that will be the scandal that sticks, although all year we've been saying, this is the one, the IRS, the NSA, the Benghazi. How is it even possible for him and Hillary, the anointed one for 2016, to be unscathed and still even seen as a hero, this misunderstanding or whatever? Horrendous. One thing after another, and I'm worried about Obamacare, that the lesson learned will be the wrong one, and they're already turning this to the greedy insurance companies are at fault, and it's income inequality, which talk about fascism, communism. We need to, close the gap, which never means this. It always means this, and we'll meet somewhere at the bottom. And that I find that absolutely terrifying. Who has been a speaker for freedom? I thought a lot about what Ted Cruz did. Was it the right thing, the wrong thing? A lot of people were very upset. I loved seeing someone at that particular point in time stand up for people against this. That he was so misrepresented by the media as the terrorist faction of the Republican Party, which he was. And he stood strong for how many hours was it?
I agree. Absolutely.
And he really did, he represented the leading edge of the rejection of Obamacare, of highlighting that somebody's standing up for people against this onslaught before it really started. And I think that will reap rewards eventually.
Orestes, let me ask you, looking back 2013, America's been diminished greatly in the world. Obama, that's intentional, right? He wants to...
He's a laughing stock
Right.
of the entire world.
Is there a particular... Is it Syria? Is it this latest deal with Iran? Is there one particular instant where you could say that Obama really intentionally it seems intentional. You may disagree, but I think he's trying to diminish the U.S.'s role in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What do you see in the world?
This is the first president that has that doesn't want America. Even Carter wanted America to be in a lesser degree, but he wanted America to be the first, the most powerful nation in the world. He's the one who's trying to, what has been happening now with Iran, it's like a joke. They say, oh no, because right now we are talking to them because, in other words, they have lifted a lot of sanctions, okay? And those sanctions were the ones who were, controlling them. Now they said, okay, it's like if I said, listen, Mike, I'm going to give you now $1 million, but please, don't do what you were doing. Oh, okay,
sure, absolutely. You can trust me.
Thank you. This is like ridiculous. It's like an idiot. I don't want to think that they are idiots. I want to think that they are doing it on purpose. Yeah. But if they are idiots or they are doing it on purpose, it's terrible with both ways.
This is exactly what happened in the 90s when Madeleine Albright tried to negotiate with North Korea, and now North Korea is a nuclear power.
Right.
Well, we only have about a minute left, so we've got to get into predictions. Other than the Republicans sweeping to victory in Los Angeles County, Mark, what is your big prediction for 2014?
I think it's going to be a good year for Republicans. Again, people are outraged. Things like unemployment, supposedly the unemployment rate is going down, but that's absolutely not true. It's because people are dropping out of the market for jobs. We're at one of the lowest points since the late 70s and Carter as far as the labor participation rate. I think Obamacare is going to be a huge problem for the Democrats. It's affecting the economy. It's unsustainable as far as the health insurance companies go, and there may be some kind of a bailout proposed to keep them going.
Sure.
So this is all good for the Republicans.
Incredible, isn't it?
Karen, do you have anything to follow up on? What's your big prediction?
Also, I think next year is going to be tremendous for Republicans as long as we stop fighting among ourselves. There's a certain amount that's very healthy. I think, again, what Ted Cruz did was good at the time. A certain amount of airing differences is great, but at some point we have to keep our eye on who the opponent is, and it's not each other, it's the Democrats. If we do that, we're in great shape.
Orestes, do you have a prediction?
Yes, that my movie is going to be made next year. No,
All
no.
right.
We all
And will be a huge success.
And I'll make millions of dollars. No. I think that President Pinocchio's nose is going to grow longer.
That's a solid prediction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this special edition of the Glazov Gang. We will see you next week. Thank you, and thank you to our guest.